everyone, my name is Agiti, aka Black Girl Scientist, and welcome to my channel. Welcome especially to you if you're new here, and welcome back if you're a returning subscriber. So in this video we're going to be shooting part 2 of my Writing Your Thesis series. I've already shot part 1, which was uploaded a few weeks ago. If you haven't checked that one out, please make sure you check that one out before you watch this one. And in today's part 2 we're going to be talking about writing up your methods and results section. So yeah, that's what we're going to be focusing on in this video, so let's get right into it. So as I said, this video is part 2. We're going to be talking about methods and results. So I've already shot a part 1, which was literature review and introduction. That part was probably the part that you needed to do the most reading for, you know, a thorough review of the literature for the literature review, and of course writing the introduction to introduce us to your study. So now we're going to talk about writing the methods and the results section. So the methods is pretty self-explanatory. It's how you did your study. So how did you conduct your study? In writing your methods, of course, first and foremost, they need to be written in the past tense. This is stuff that you've already done. And I just quickly want to touch on how writing your methods for your thesis is different to writing up your methods for publication. So for writing a manuscript for publication, in writing a manuscript for publication, your methods have to be very concise and to the point. Whereas writing your thesis, they need to be very, very detailed. Something that my supervisor told me when I was writing up my master's thesis is that if I hand my thesis to somebody, they need to be able to reproduce my study, to reproduce the results without having to contact me. So that means that there's no little detail that I need to leave out in that method section. I need to be able to literally hand it to someone, to anybody, and they should be able to reproduce the results that I get. They should be able to reproduce my study. Unlike the methods in a manuscript, they're usually very concise. So in them doing an essay, for example, they will write that they performed a particular essay based on, and they'll put a reference, and then it's your job as the reader to go to the reference, you know, and sift out and find the methods that are in more detail than that one sentence in that manuscript or paper that you're reading. So in writing your methods for your thesis, you need to make sure that they're very detailed, which gets kind of tricky because sometimes I feel like, oh my gosh, this is so boring. Like, why would I say, and then I added 1 microliter of the enzyme into the 0.2 ml Eppendorf tube, and then I vortexed, and then I spun it down briefly, and then, you know, I'm bored already. So, but unfortunately it has to be that way, and try and make it exciting. Make it exciting when you're writing, you know, switch up the vocab. You don't want to, you know, like I just said a few sentences ago, be bored even reading your own thesis. You know, be excited about writing it. You know, have that excitement, and it will come through in your writing. It definitely will come through in your writing. So that's the methods. I mean, there isn't really anything much else to it for writing methods for your thesis. You have to make sure that they are super in detailed, that anybody can pick up your methods from your thesis and reproduce your study, be able to obtain those results. Of course, if you're watching this and you've written many papers, if you've written many theses, please leave us comments down below of how you think is the best way, you know, to go about really making your methods in detail, but also like an exciting piece of a section to read. Yeah, so that's the method. So moving on to the results section. The results is the heart, I think, of your thesis. You know, the discussion is my favorite part, but that's going to be in part 3. But really the results is the heart of your study. It is everything that you have obtained from doing this study. So your results is everything that you've got, the data that you've produced from the method section. So everything that you did has been translated into the results now. This is the heart of your study. So in the results, I think it's really important to not start discussing your results. Okay, so don't start discussing, so don't start analyzing your results in your results section. That part is for the discussion. So your results, you write them as you put a figure or you put a piece of writing explaining the figure below, boom, just like that, straight as it is. So if you are putting a picture of a box that is yellow and it's outlined in black, so you would literally say in the text, the results show a yellow square with a black border. That's it. There's nothing else that you can say about the results. And then you only start getting into, you know, the discussing, the analyzing of the part in the discussion. So in the results, you just literally state the results as they are. You try and describe, you know, as much as you can. So in that example that I used of a yellow box with a black border, you can say, you know, the box appears medium sized. You can give the diameters, you can give the, you know, how big the box is and stuff like that. That is all that you put in the results section. There's no analysis of why you got that yellow box with the black border. There is no analysis in the results. It's just stating it as it is. So that's what you need to do in the results. I also had a supplementary section in my results, so try and make your results also concise. So if you have a lot of particular figures, for example, I am a research scientist, so I work in the lab and I have a lot of data that I literally produce data almost every day. Like if I'm looking at a gel, if I'm looking at graphs, and of course I cannot have all of that in my thesis, so it needs to be condensed. So for example, if I'm wanting to show a picture of a flow plot or a gel, for example, it will need to be one representative of the many that I get. Like I said, I get on a daily basis, you know, I'm looking at data. And then the rest you can put, so when you're choosing a representative figure, make sure it's the best one. And then you can put the rest in the supplementary, but also not all of it as well, just to show that, you know, this is not the only gel that you produce. There were other gels, because honestly, if you have 200 gels, you cannot put all 200 in your supplementary data as well. That's just, it's just too much. You're gonna have about 100 pages of just gels and you really don't need. But of course you need to keep that data, because, you know, if you are going to publish, or if there's anything happens and you need to go back to a particular result, you have that as a reference. So you don't want to find yourself stuck if, you know, you come to publishing or writing your thesis, or one of the reviewers asks to see a particular something, you have it. So make sure in the results section, I also want to mention that your data collection method and your storing of data, keeping the data that you generate safe, is also really good and really efficient. You want to make sure everything's dated, it's properly labeled, it's, you know, all of those things. So make sure that you keep your data really, you know, organized, and also not only so you can only, you know, recognize what's what, so that other people can also recognize, you know, what's what, and be able to sift through your data as well. So that is the results section. I honestly feel like it's the heart of your study, because now you are showcasing, this is what I found, you know, from the, you know, from doing this study, this is what I found. So that's why I'm saying that it's really the heart and of your thesis. And of course, after the results, you'll then get into this discussion. So the discussion and the conclusion, as well as publishing, I will be discussing in part 3 of this series. And that brings me to the end of this video. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a hit and give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to click the notification bell so you can be notified when part 3 is up. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and click that subscribe button and keep the family growing. And that is all for me. I will see you on the next video. Bye.